And now I introduce Rainer Machner, who's a concept developer in Germany, and as I said earlier, has worked with Gerhard Tiesler for, when you started quite in depth with Gerhard 15 years ago. You
Yes.
know his research well, and you've presented it before at conferences too. So
Did I?
you did it.
Yes. Hello. Thanks for having me. And it's really sad that we have Gerhard not here on stage. It should be his last presentation in his life on this topic. So it would be too sad not to have this content shared on this event. So I stepped in because I followed his studies since many years, and I know that many or some of you did as well. So for the ones who already know this content, you can just sit in calm and wait for the next speech. But I think this research done by Gerhard and his team at the Institute for Interdisciplinary School Research is quite unique. It all started in the late 70s when the noise discussion in schools came up, and when they start studies around stress and strain for teachers, they start to collect data. And this data is quite a large treasure. So we have in the first two studies, noise in schools and acoustic economics in schools, about 500 observed lessons with different parameters, and another plus 200 in the last study, fatigue in schools. And the methodology in this research is quite unique and different because the perspectives are, as the name of the institute says, quite interdisciplinary. They don't only observe the acoustics, sound pressure level, vibration time. They also documented what is going on in the classroom, the teaching styles, so direct teaching, student-centered teaching, and some parameters to reflect the healthiness of the people in the room, the teachers and the students. So they documented the heart rate. And then they mixed this all up and tried to get some findings on it. And it was also in the previous presentations from yesterday that also in these studies, the focus was not about the permanent damages by noise, so above 80 decibels. It was about the ones, the low noise impact on school, on education and teaching. So it's about the impact on communication, it's about the healthiness and performance, cognition. So this was what they were focusing on. There was one real lucky strike in one of the schools they have observed. We had 8 classrooms, 8 in the first floor, 4 in the first floor and 4 in the second floor. And the one in the first floor, they had a quite higher vibration time, and the ones in the second floor, a lower vibration time, and therefore a better STI or a little bit lower STI. And in this slide here, you can see the correlation in between the STI and the basic sound level of the room. So this refers to the previous discussion on the ideal vibration time and the impact on the basic noise level and of course the working noise level. But here you can see that there's a difference of more than 5 decibels if you have a better STI. With a quite high correlation. And also yesterday was discussed that the ideal distance in between speaker and listener in classroom would be about 4 meters. So, and we all know this famous slides where we have the correlation between vocal effort and distance by background noise level. And I would say that this correlation here, or this finding, is quite beneficial to decide about the right values. For me, the most impressive finding is in this slide here. It's called the scissor slide. Because it includes the observation of the sound pressure level in the room, so the working noise level actually, and the circumstance that they have done a renovation in the room. So it was before and after. The situation before led to the standard in Germany, the DIN standard, where we had a recommendation of 0.7 of a second for the classroom. and it changed after 2004 to 0.4. And then they had students in the back of the classroom observing about the teaching style. And then they separated the direct teaching part in the non-refurbished room, and they documented this SPL here. And then they took all the data when it was non-direct, when it was student-centered speaking. And what is happening then if you change this perspective? It goes up because of the Lombard effect. If the acoustics is not ideal, it goes up. And if you take the refurbished room with a lower vibration time of 0.4, direct teaching was improved. So we had a lowering in SPL about 4 to 5 decibels. Calculated were 3. We found 4 to 5. But what happened when they had this change again from direct to student-centered teaching? Exactly, it went down because of a kind of a reverse Lombard effect seen in here. And the values are quite interesting. So we had 4 to 5 in the direct teaching situation. So you could ask yourself, is it beneficial to have all these efforts in room acoustics for this type of teaching? But take this. A difference of 13.3 decibels is a complete change of what happened in that room. And we used that a lot to convince building authorities about their impact on education. It's much higher than the impact of the teacher. You could say that. Yeah, so super interesting finding. For the ones who sit in calm and wait for the next speech, we can ask about the workload in rooms. Your heart rate is, of course, not 0. But we have all individual heart rates. And the question is, okay, how do we react on different working situations? We are lowering by 10 if we lay down, if we would lay down. And if we go to work, it's always like strain, like if we calculate or if we solve problems of 10 to 20 beats per minute. The optimum would be if we have a balance in between both, like relaxation and strain. It's like a battery theory, discharging and charging. It should always be in balance. And since we react on noise, we all know that, there was an observation of one teacher, a female teacher in that classroom, threw over the morning lessons, and you could see a super nice correlation in between these parameters. And this was valid for this teacher and also for the others and also for the pupils. Just because of the way of the study design, it was not allowed to observe the students. So this is impressive, but to see what happened if you optimize the room acoustics is also quite interesting. Here you can see the stress reaction. It is a little bit like the humor experiment from yesterday. You all remember this humor thing from Chiara, I think. If we say before and after, and if we take a plus of 10 decibels of the sound pressure level in the room, because this will happen even with good acoustics, of course, but we could see the stress reaction of this teacher here was a change of 10 beats per minute in the situation before the acoustic intervention, and after having the same plus of 10 decibels and change of SPL, we had only 4. So less stress by better acoustics. So we can say that this is a much better ergonomic situation or working environment. So it should be balanced. And if we sum up all the lessons of this 2 weeks for one teacher, you could see with the vibration time before, old standard in Germany, 0.7, it was imbalanced. And after having the lower vibration time of 0.4, it was much more in balance. And when it comes to people's or pupils' behavior, it's also goes in the same direction. Taking the basic noise level, you could see a quite clear development of the basic noise level, which is taken out of the working noise level. So it's the LA95. It goes up through over the lessons. If you change the acoustics, it stays on the same level through the complete morning. Okay, Colin, tell me to hurry up. And the teaching style has changed. In the better acoustic circumstances, we have a plus in dialogue because they observed the percentage of teacher-generated speech, student-centered teaching, and so on. And dialogue was beneficial, so they took the chance more to get in dialogue. Okay, another catalyst of fatigue and stress is the climate situation. We all know as humans something get lost through over the history, and also this number here from Burgstein and Netolitzky, which is like 120 years ago, a recommendation of the maximum CO2 concentration in a room. This is a model calculation of the CO2 progress if we have 25 students in a room. It should not be above 1000 ppm, otherwise we will get in this level of distortion of mental state. It's in the Dean standard tolerated up to 1500, because from then on you get distortion of perception. And in this study it's shown that after 15 minutes you get to that specific point where you have all these bad effects of CO2 concentration. So they first observed how it is today. We have to say that in Germany we have 45 minutes of education lessons, and we have 10 minutes of this under 1000 ppm, close to 20 minutes below 1500, and there's another quarter of an hour you could stop education because it's not the best environment to learn and to teach. What they did just did in between this 45 minutes, adjust ventilation break. 1, 2, 3 minutes, open the window. We don't have forced ventilation in Germany in classrooms, so we use the windows. And if you open them up, you completely change your situation. If you just give 2 minutes of ventilation, of course you have to integrate that in your teaching style, otherwise you would disturb the way you teach. But if you do so, you have a much better ergonomic situation for teaching. And observing how the pupils react, they observe the dysfunctional activities. This is when the kids turn a little bit gaga. They don't do what they should do. And if you count these situations before and after this intervention, you could see it's super, isn't it? I mean, the teacher will see that. The teacher will reflect that this situation is completely different. Okay, to sum that up, if we take both acoustics and these ventilation intervention, you could see, observing the LA95, the basic sound level, there is a slight change of 1.3 or 1.6 decibels, comparing bad and good air quality situation and worse and better acoustic situation. But if you take the working noise level, the LAQ, you have up to 3 decibels difference. But it's dependent on the acoustics and a super add-on if you add good air quality. Okay, so what happens? They summed it up, Gerhard summed it up as, if you improve the room acoustics, you improve the communication, you reduce the working sound pressure level in the room, you reduce the speed effort, you lower stress, you lower fatigue, and you change the behavior. And this is kind of a circle. So if you start at the top, you have this. 2 minutes, okay. So good acoustics is a measurable economic factor. We all know that. It's not rocket science to solve the problems in that kind of classrooms. Of course, we would love to have more open plan schools, but if I see the other pictures, it's same in the other countries. We have this 60, 65 square meters to handle with. But I think this is important to get the best results out of it. So, cheers Gerhard for all this work. I just can recommend to read all his studies. They are still available in the form of a book. You can buy them, or you can just easily download them if you follow the ISF homepage from the University of Bremen. They're all available as a PDF to download there. Okay, thank you.